Welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. So, we live in Florida, and one thing that I'm asked all the time is, I'm going on vacation, I have dogs, what do I do with them? And people think, and I hate to say this, that, hey, I'm going to put them in one of these big boarding kennels. And I personally don't buy into that. I think, and you know how I feel, always use a professional, but use a professional that's face-to-face with you. With me is Greg from K9adventures PSL?
Yes.
Okay. So I wasn't sure when we messaged you what K9adventures was, and the adventures kind of threw me off. I got the K9 part, but the adventures threw me off.
Right.
So what is K9adventures?
So basically every day is a new adventure, whether we're doing different activities with the dogs or we're actually physically taking them outside of the house and going out on different adventures around town. We'll go to downtown Fort Pierce, we'll go to the dog beaches, we'll go to Tradition Square, different parks, anywhere that is dog friendly that they can go out. If I'm going to lunch, I'm making sure it's dog friendly and the dogs can kind of come with.
So it's not like, hey, you're leaving your dogs here, and when I'm going out, I'm gonna leave them in the crates.
Correct. There's someone at the house 24/7 with them, and we're at home base, so it's not a commercial environment. It's not a kenneled environment. There's couches, there's beds, there's all of that in the house.
You got to be animal friendly.
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, because to tolerate animals in your house takes a little something that a lot of people don't have. Like,
correct.
We're animal friendly, so your partner's sitting on the couch over there, and Joe from this chamber, he comes with his dog, and his dog jumps on that couch and lays on the couch while we film. Okay, I have a young lady who brings her dog. Her dog has only 3 legs, and managed to jump up on everything.
Oh, they just greatly.
Yeah. All right. So how long are you around the industry?
10 years. This is my 10th years in the industry. I opened up a year and a half ago here in Port St. Lucie, though.
Why'd you pick this industry?
To be honest, it was my first hired job. I was applying at like pizzerias, food places, things like that, and I applied to a doggy daycare, and they hired me, and I loved it. I loved it, and I actually and that was my first job at 17 years old, and by 19, I was the manager of that location. And I just kept going and going and going from there.
So my question is, was that location, for lack of a better word, a big box store? Meaning,
it was a commercial facility and it was
Right.
a franchise.
Right. So, and what I'm trying to say when I talk about that is, I personally don't believe that your pet gets the same attention that they would get in a unit like yours.
And that's why I love that I got to work in both fields,
Right.
Environments. You know, I got to experience what a commercial facility was, and it's interesting because my dream was to open up a commercial facility for 8 years, 7 years. I always wanted to open up one. That was my dream. But then once I opened it up out of my house and I started providing the care out of my house, I saw a completely different dynamic within the dogs. You know, it's just a safer, cleaner, funner environment, and the dogs get more attention.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, to me, it's just like, it was game changer, and I never really saw it from that eye being in the other environment.
This is a question that I know people would ask. What's the easiest dog to deal with?
Like,
And don't tell me,
breed-wise?
don't tell me Chihuahua.
Breed-wise?
Yeah.
No, and I had to say it, and I feel like a lot of people would disagree with me, but I'm going to go with the German Shepherd.
Is it easiest to deal with?
Yes. They are very obedient. You know what I mean? As long as they are, you know, it has to go with the owner and how they're raised, but, you know, that's the thing is I get a lot of, my client base, their family, everyone cares. They're just like me, you know, everyone's loving, so they obviously raise their dogs phenomenally, so when they bring them to me, they're severely trained. You know what I mean? So they're very, very easy, obedient. Like, you know, I call their one name, and they come like that. And
I
all
can't
the
get
other
my
dogs
wife
are
to do
playing.
that.
I can't get my friends to do that.
I
You know what I
understand.
mean?
Okay, so do you have your own dogs?
Yes, I do.
How many do you have?
I have 2. I have a Pitbull and I have a German Shepherd.
Okay, so I have, like, for me, I would never get a pit bull, but I have seen some of the pit bulls that are the most loving animals I've ever seen. Now, I've had a Doberman. People talk about how tough they are. I found her roaming the streets, and I named her Caligula. And she was so protective. But when I had a baby, she sat on that couch, right in front of the couch, so the baby would not fall off. It's amazing. Animals are just amazing. So do you only do dogs?
Yes, as of right now, yeah, only dogs.
That's why you have the K9?
Correct. So before this, I also operated based on what you were saying with the whole Pitbull thing. Is a lot of people felt that way, and back in the day, I actually did too. Especially like being in this field, like when a dog would come in inquiring about services before I was like educated in this. I just because of the stimulation out there, I thought that anything can happen, kind of thing. I came to in 2017. I opened up a 501(c) bully-based rescue.
Okay.
So I also operate that based out of Long Island. That's how I got my Pitty. She was a foster through the rescue, and I foster failed.
So I'm going to tell you something that he said that probably most of you didn't catch on, but I did, to tell me what kind of person I'm bringing my dog to. He said when a dog comes in, he didn't say when people come in, he prioritized the dog over the people. And that's a kind of interesting way to look at it.
It was so a lot of people will laugh and even make jokes about it. Is I refer to is, Shadow's mom, Ghost's mom, Carmen's mom, Jake's dad. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like I know them through the dog. It's just
Right.
like when your kids are friends. Like you refer the kid's name, not the parent. You know what I mean?
So you do, there's a lot of, I don't know that people understand, because they have a dog and they take it out 3 times a day or whatever they do and they feed it. And here and there they'll groom it. But you have a bunch of dogs to take out.
Correct.
And you don't really have the ability easily to go away for a week.
No.
Or even in a regular day, if your friends say, hey, why don't you come to the house, we're having a barbecue?
No.
It's like you can't really even do that.
No.
There's a serious commitment when you take a pet, and that commitment fivefolds or tenfolds when you, for lack of a better word, babysit other people's pets.
Correct.
And you want them to go home as good as they came in.
Better.
Well, we don't want you. I don't want my dog to be better and like you
It's
better
like,
than
it's
like
like
me.
Disney World. You're going to Disney World. You guys go on vacation. The dogs get to go on vacation.
Yeah, but when we go away, we don't want to come home. We don't want our dog not to come home.
Some dogs will protest. They'll lay on the ground and be like, "Nope, put the brakes on."
How well do the dogs get along with one another on a whole?
They have to. So we have a whole trial. We'll do a meet and greet process first, where I meet with the parents and the dog, and then after that, they have to come back for a trial day. That's a whole screening process to make sure that they are good in a pack environment. So it's really important that all the dogs do get along and socialize well together.
So Mary brings her dog. She goes through this. Once she goes through this, she's already in your records. So if she's leaving again and needs you 2 months from now or a year from now, you already know that dog doesn't have to go through all
And I
that.
have all their notes about the dog. I have their vaccination records, anything, their feeding history, medication. It's all in there.
Okay, so Mary brings her dog. Does she bring food?
Yes.
You want them to bring the food that the dog...
Any medication that even the flea tick, if that lands on the day that they're with me, we'll do that. No extra charge.
Okay. How noisy is your house?
People come to my house, they mention how clean it is. They're like, I have 2 dogs and my house isn't even this clean. Because that's what I have to do. I have to clean. I have to stay on top of it all day. And my neighbors will say, like, I'm very friendly with all my neighbors. They're like, I don't even hear one dog barking. I have a neighbor that got a dog behind me, and she leaves her dog outside all day, and 2 doors down came to my house 2 days ago, and she was just like, it's interesting that I hear this dog barking all day, and I don't hear a peep from your house. I'm like, yeah, because, we got a lot of structure, you know what I mean? These dogs are playing all day long, but they're not barking at each other. They might go in the backyard and bark like 1 or 2 times here
Right.
or there, but nothing excessive.
You keep... I guess you have each dog's vet records and who their vets are?
Correct.
So that, God forbid, because anything can happen.
Correct.
You want to be able to bring them to vets and stuff. We were talking in the green room about dogs being trained, and we, ironically enough, in 1 degree of separation, we're close with a young lady who trains. And do you prefer a dog to come trained, meaning sit, stand, stay, roll over, or is it okay to have a dog, and I don't mean to say it this way, but that's a rescue and is always wagging her tails and running all over and not really, not that they're out of control, but they're not like that definitive control.
So I actually get a lot of dogs like that. Being that I have dogs in a pack environment, I always say it's actually beneficial for them to come and experience the daycare or even boarding environment, because they'll learn from the other dogs, the other pack environment. So depending on their level of, how wild or stressed they are, I might recommend training after, daycare and boarding, but daycare might be the go-to for that kind of situation.
I rescued a kitten. She was probably 6 weeks, and she was found underneath a house, and we called her Tiny Tiger, Scratchy Bitey, and her name is actually Fee, which is short for catastrophe.
Oh.
And she was crazy. You couldn't pet her or anything. When we took her to the vet to get fixed, we needed like a big towel to hold her and get her into her carrier and stuff like that. We decided that animals are usually pack animals, so I went and rescued another cat, a little bit bigger, same age, but he's a Maine Coon, so he's a little bit bigger.
Oh.
He put her in her place. She learned how to be a cat. She'll come on, you can pet her, and she's still a little jumpy because she has that fur in it, but yes, they do learn from one another.
Absolutely.
Which is really kind of interesting, because people, we can't learn from one another, and
I wish we could.
and I think one of the coolest things is to see all these animals getting along with one another and playing, because it's something that they can't get to do or do when they're home with one animal.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
and go ahead.
So there's a whole social thing within them coming to daycare.
Right.
Now, do they come to daycare for a day? Do they come for a weekend, a week, when they go on vacation? What's your... I knew somebody who had a daycare, just day. Do you do many just days, like people go to work and can I bring my dog?
So most of my client base is boarding, but I also do, so any of my clients, they could do daycare and boarding. So I have a handful, like, let's say from Tradition, that are in the apartments over there. They don't have fenced-in yards. They don't even have yards. They just have balconies. So they'll bring their dogs to daycare so they have a yard to run in. They'll socialize with other dogs, get that energy out. This way they're nice and tired that night and even the following day, and they just get that exercise. Then I have people that just, they work long hours,
Right.
So instead of getting a dog walker to come into their house they might not be comfortable with, they'll bring the dog to daycare to know that they're out playing all day long instead of a dog walker. Then the other aspect is boarding. So when they're going away on vacation, I have a couple of clients that are actually flight attendants. And then I have, we're in a good location where for day trips, so like down to Miami, down to or up to Orlando, even to Delray, Boca, West Palm Beach kind of areas.
Are you ever nervous that the dogs will be out of control or bite somebody or whatever?
So the good thing about so being in the industry for so long, and I say it all the time, when I used to drive to work in these commercial facilities, I used to drive in fear of what was going to happen that day, because
Okay.
anything can happen.
Right.
I wake up every morning with such relief, because all these dogs, they're like family. We're a family because I'm on a smaller base, So all these dogs, I consider them just like my own. I know them like the back of my hand. So when a new dog comes in, it's that whole screening process, but I only have to focus on that one dog. All these dogs are so well behaved. Of course, anything can happen,
Right.
So they all have to be monitored 24/7 while they're out in the pack environment. But it's not like, they all remember each other from their previous times.
Right.
They're friends, they're family, you know what I mean? They get so excited to see each other every time they walk through the door.
If I was mean, I'd put you on the spot and ask you, what's your favorite dog? what customer has your favorite dog, but I won't do that.
Oh boy.
You're right, I won't do that. But we're getting to the top of our time. How do people find you? Do you have a phone number?
Yes. So my phone number is 772-233-9597.
And a website?
That is www.K9adventurespsl.com.
I'm sure that they can find you all over social media.
Yeah, that's K9adventurespsl hashtag. Well, not hashtag.
It was a pleasure having you on.
All right, thank you so much. I
Everybody,
appreciate it.
use a professional. Check him out. And I'm sure if you give him a call, he'll give you some insight to what he's looking for. You know what's really kind of cool is that it's not you that's only making the decision. It's him that's making the decision, which means it's going to be best for both.
Absolutely.
Everybody have a
Yes.
great day, and we'll be right back.